We've all heard the term cryptocurrency buzzing around lately, and with crypto being catapulted back into the news, I feel like it's probably not a bad idea to add a new block to the already giant list of people trying to explain what the heck cryptocurrency even is. And with that, let's get started. It's digital money. I think we can all wrap our head around that. But I'm going to try and break it down a little bit of what's actually happening behind the scenes and demystify some of the jargon people like to throw around when trying to explain it. So imagine you had a special notebook, okay? And this notebook is filled with pages and pages of transactions. Just so many transactions, way more than you would ever want to read, okay? Such and such paid so-and-so this much money, etc., etc. All right, well, anyone with access to this notebook can see literally all of them. Every one. Not that you would want to read all of them, but you do have access to them. Now imagine that there were thousands and thousands, if not millions, of people all over the world with an exact copy of this same notebook. Think of it kind of like a giant group chat, where whenever a new page of transactions gets added to the notebook, it updates for literally everyone. Now, how do new pages get added to this notebook? Well, that's where things get really interesting. Now, let's say that you were a big old nerd, kind of like me. Although, to be fair, I probably would fall more into the geek category, but that's neither here nor there. Well, you or me, we would get tasked with solving a really, really complicated math problem. So complicated, in fact, that you basically just needed to guess until you got the right answer. But you were really, really good at making guesses, like really fast. So what happens when one of these nerds solves a problem? Well, they get a little cryptocurrency as a reward, along with the honor, the privilege to write a new page into that notebook we were just talking about earlier. Something else that happens is that each time there is a new entry into the notebook, there is a special fingerprint that connects each of the pages together. And if someone was to try and go in and mess with any of the pages, this fingerprint would get all smudged up. And everyone with the notebook would look at it and be all like, nope, there's no way. Rejecting that. Does not look good. Now, because the system is run by a vast and varied group of people all over the world, it's not controlled by any one entity. This is a huge part of what makes these digital currencies so different from the money we're used to. Their operations are maintained by the global community of users, not a central authority. Now, if you actually wanted to receive any money from this system, you would need a mailbox, which is public and is essentially your address for where people could send you the money. And along with that, you have a very special private key to that mailbox, and you need that key to access the money inside. Now, here's the super important part. If you lose your key, you kind of lose access to everything in that mailbox, and there's no one that can give you a replacement. That is why it is super-duper important that you keep that key safe and secure. Okay, so now that we have the core ideas down, let's connect them to the official terms you've probably heard, but may not really understand. So remember that shared digital notebook where every transaction is recorded? Well, in the world of finance, this notebook has a name. A ledger. A ledger is simply a book or a file for recording financial accounts. For centuries, businesses have used physical ledgers to keep track of money coming in and going out. The cryptocurrency version is just a modern digital evolution of that. It is a public ledger because everyone participating can see it, ensuring transparency. So when you hear public ledger, just think of this globally shared digital notebook. So we talked about how there's no single company, bank, or government in charge. Well, instead, the power is distributed amongst all of the users all across the globe. And the official term for this is decentralized. Think about a traditional bank. Well, that is a centralized system. One entity, the bank, is in the middle, controlling the ledger, verifying transactions, and holding all of the power. If the bank's servers go down or they decide to freeze your account, you're out of luck. Cryptocurrencies are decentralized because everyone has a copy of the ledger and new transactions are approved by a community of miners. There's no single point of failure or control. So that actually leads us to these nerds we were talking about before. Well, in the world of cryptocurrency, they are referred to as miners. And in reality, they are simply computers with the cryptocurrency software running on them, trying to solve these puzzles and add new pages to the ledger by using their computational power to make guesses until they guess right. So when you hear about crypto miners, they're simply people with either one or a bunch of computers trying to be the first to solve the next problem. so that they can get their reward in the form of new coins and fees from the people making the transactions. Now, the chances of your computer actually being the one to solve one of these problems is very, very unlikely. So some people create big groups of computers called pools, and if one of the computers in a pool solves the problem, then the reward is distributed to everyone that is part of the pool, depending on how it is structured. And what about those pages of new transactions that miners add to the notebook after solving a puzzle? Well, each one of those pages is called a block. Now here's the really brilliant part. When a new block of transactions is added, it's linked to the previous one before it with a metaphorical fingerprint. It creates a chain of blocks, and that right there, guys, that's where we get the name blockchain. This blockchain structure is what makes the ledger so incredibly secure and permanent. It's a chronological, unchangeable chain of blocks, each one cementing the one before it, with them fingerprints. And it is constantly being verified with the whole network, all the time. So a bunch of people are solving puzzles and updating a shared notebook. But what actually gives these digital coins any value? Well, that is a great question. And the answer comes down to two main things: trust and independence. The system is very good at what it does. It's amazing, actually. I've never seen anything like it. Because this system has proven to be so secure and reliable for verifying transactions, people have come to trust it. This trust is a key ingredient of its value. It's just a really, really good transaction verification software. Second, as we mentioned, it's not directly controlled by other entities because no single organization can dictate the rules or freeze your account. It offers a level of freedom and independence that's very appealing to many. So the value comes from its ability to function as a secure and independent way to verify transactions. It's a currency powered by its users, and its worth is a reflection of their collective trust in the system that they all help to run. But with all of that being said regarding the value of cryptocurrencies, the price of Bitcoin, for example, goes up and down based solely on what people are willing to pay for it. If all of a sudden way less people wanted to buy it for whatever theoretical reason, the price would drop. If all of a sudden way more people wanted to buy it, the price would go up. Now, it is important to stress that along with the potential benefits, it is of the utmost importance that people realize the risks associated with investing in cryptocurrencies. As I just mentioned, because the price is determined solely by what people are willing to pay, the price can fluctuate dramatically over short periods of time, sometimes based on only a single news story, or even a tweet. Along with that, losing your personal key means losing access to all of your investment without any way to get it back. No way. And because of its decentralized nature, well, if someone was able to scam you out of your currency, well, there's effectively no way to go about retrieving that money. This personal responsibility is critical because there's no bank or central company, there's no one to call if you do get scammed or accidentally send money to the wrong address. The transactions are irreversible, which is why it is a space where you have to be extra cautious. So let's put it all together. Well, a cryptocurrency runs on a technology called a blockchain, which is a secure and permanent chain of transaction records. That's it. This blockchain acts as a public ledger, notebook, and the whole system is decentralized, meaning it's maintained by its users and not a central authority. See? Ledger, decentralized, blockchain, it's not all that complicated to wrap your head around. Now, before I head out, please remember that I am not a financial advisor, and the content of this video is for informational and educational purposes only. It should not be considered as an endorsement or a recommendation to invest in any cryptocurrency. The crypto market is highly volatile, and you should always seek advice from a qualified professional before making any investment decisions. Because remember, past performance does not equal future performance. I also want to give you guys a quick update on the status of our charity fund. So as of right now, there's $1,040 in here. So if you guys are unaware, I'm going to be taking $5 of my own money and I'm going to be investing it into a charity fund for each subscriber I get on this channel up until we hit our $50,000 goal. Once we do hit that $50,000 goal, then once the channel gets monetized, I'll be taking 5% of any of the ad revenue from YouTube that the channel generates, and I'm also going to be contributing that to the charity fund as well. Each year, I'm going to be taking 5% of the total value of the charity fund and donating it to a charity that you guys help me pick. Now, as far as what it's going to be invested in, well, I was thinking to myself, well, I could invest it myself, but which I probably will, maybe I'll do half of what I would like to invest it in, but then maybe the rest of it, potentially, you guys could help me decide. It is going to be in a Schwab account that I have, so I am going to be bound by whatever securities they allow me to purchase. So for the most part, mostly stocks, but hey, we're talking about cryptocurrency here. There are a couple of crypto ETFs, so we could potentially be investing in that. So maybe I'll do some community posts and kind of gauge, sentiment around what things I should or shouldn't be investing in, and we'll see. But if you do have any recommendations, make sure to leave them down in the comments. So thank you very much for watching, and if you want to help support the fund, just make sure to subscribe. It doesn't cost you a thing. So with that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Peace.